Welcome to the Gray State Revolution. The Forbidden Ones are waking up. Now it's time to invoke a new revolution to the socialist scam to take over America and discover what it will take and what we can actually do about it to conquer the left. Direct from Ridge Runner Studios, here is your host, David Big Dave Ezel.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome all of y'all to the Gray States. Today is the 20th day of August in the year of our Lord 2022, and it has been a lot of underground news sources out this week. I found a beauty in a gem of the Biden administration has teamed up with TikTok to help all of our overseas voters. That sounds like there can't be any cheating at all involved with that. Sort of makes sense now that they had the Office of Disinformation or the Ministry of Truth that got shot down when everybody in America decided, well, that might just be a little bit too far. And all I have to say about that is you think. You think it could be a little bit of overstepping your bounds? You think you might be starting to cross over into our guaranteed rights? Well, as you ask, how can that be that you're stepping into our rights when they're just trying to watch to make sure there's no lies being told? Well, I mean, we have never shushed our government officials up, and the politicians are some of the biggest liars on the face of the planet. And we've never kept them from being able to speak. It's one of those things where now we're starting to see what's going on. They're starting to show themselves. They've been showing themselves for what they really are since 2016. They've been doing this stuff for what they are for the last 30 years. And they have no qualms or cares about it. They don't care about you. They don't care about which side of the aisle you're on, because all of you liberals, if you think for any shadow of a second that they won't have you being watched, that they won't have you being doxxed, that they won't have you taken down, then you're highly, 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 highly mistaken, and you're not a student of history. It has happened every time, all the time. If you want to watch how it happened, you need to look no further than 1930s and 40s, during a time and era that we call World War II. And just go study how Hitler took over the German government, took over everything, made himself a dictator, and what happened after that. You should know the ending of the story, but you don't know the beginning. And it's starting to show. Stalin did the same thing with his regime in communist Russia. The Gen Xers here remember watching the fall of the wall in Germany that divided Berlin. We watched the tail end of the Vietnam War, and we watched our troops get spit on, and we watched our troops get shamed on, because nobody really understands war. We've had enough. Games out, single player games and all of that now, that everybody should know exactly what war looks like. May not know what it feels like, but they definitely know what it looks like. And that's where we're heading. That's where it's going. And if you think it's not, then you're not a student of history. history again. I have listened and watched the politics news on the information provided by the government for the news media to go back and forth in and try to, what's the word I'm looking for? Try to change the way we think. Try to manipulate how Americans think. But there's a group of people out there that are independent from politics, sort of. But they're not really independent. They're just what's called the independent voters, and they make up about 50% of the electorate. I'm proud to call myself one of those. I'm a conservative and an independent. I don't necessarily agree with everything the Republicans do, but I don't necessarily disagree with everything the conservatives do. I don't disagree with what the left wing of the party do. And there's left wings on both sides, and there's right wings on both sides. We've lost that fact over the years. They have spent countless amounts of hours with our news media trying to sway the way we think, that there's only liberals and conservatives. When, as a matter of fact, there's liberals, there's Democrats, there's blue dogs, there's Republicans, there's moderate Republicans, and there's the religious right. We have allowed them to manipulate us. We have allowed them to take and make the media become our worst enemy. And just now, people are starting to catch it on. It's catching fire. I'm watching it. I watch it every second. It does my heart good. The problem is it's probably too late. And I hate to even say that, but we all know it's possibly the truth. It may even be too late. It's not really, because I've talked about the 4 boxes of dissent. And if you don't know what they are, let me give you a quick review. It's a soapbox, a jury box, a ballot box, and a cartridge box. You're supposed to do all 3 before you get to that last box. Right now, we're at the time where we're going to try to use a ballot box. But with movies like 2,000 Mules, all of these states re-reviewing their election results, it showed us one thing and one thing only, that the politicians have been cheating for years. Not just the left, the right too. They're all aware of it. It's all their dirty little secret, per se. And we're just now learning about it. Now they're kind of running scared. Now they thought that might be getting a little too far ahead of themselves, and we're going to try to pull back, but nobody's done anything about it. Nobody's created a rule in Congress that says we're not using these machines, we're not doing that. And I'm talking about the states too. We're sitting here trying to get into everybody's election runs, and we're trying to find the one candidate that's actually going to go up to D.C. and represent the people instead of representing the lobbyists or representing themselves or representing their children, or being up there calling themselves back into session in the middle of August, and everybody think, oh, well, it was to pass that bill with the 87,000 IRS troops. No, that was a guise. If Congress is in session, then members of Congress can't be arrested. And my understanding is John Durham has got the information that's going to change everything, quote unquote. I'm not sure how real that is. I've got sources that say that it's damning evidence, but that doesn't mean it's going to destroy anything. Because remember, the news media is controlled by the government. There's been multiple videos where the scripts are identical, no matter which city you're in, which market you're in, which one you watch. All of it's the same, including Fox. We can't trust anybody these days. You can't trust anybody but what you know, so we have to trust each other. The Gray State Mafia on TikTok is a growing community. It's a growing community of, really what's funny to me is everybody thinks it's a super Trump page. It's not a Trump page. There are a lot of Trump supporters. There are a ton of Trump supporters. Most of it is independents who know that the only way to fix what's going on right now, to pull us back from as far left as we have gone, that the only way to pull us back to it some semblance of the middle is to go as far right as you possibly can to draw it back to center. Those are the people that sit around and we watch the Democrats and Republicans give a lot of talk and try to sit there and figure out, well, what did they fix? How did they fix anything? What did they do that's going to make my life better? And what we find is that they don't normally do it. They make their lives better. They make the people in the Ukraine's life better. They've made Zelensky a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire by this point. Yesterday morning, I got up fairly early. I had me a cup of coffee. I sat here. I went to TikTok to check my messages and see what was going on through the night, see which one of my creators I follow has been kicked off the platform. And the very first thing that pops up on my screen is Zelensky doing a TikTok live. Now, if he's in the middle of a war-torn country and they're really battling it out, how the hell does he have time, and why is he in the public to do a TikTok live? It makes absolutely zero sense to me. And how come they're wanting to hire 87,000 IRS agents to audit the public when they need to be sending those 87,000 people over to the Ukraine to find our missing money that we sent over there? That 70, I think it's 70 million or 70 billion, whatever it was. So I need to find out where they are.
Hit at me, and I'm gonna fight you till you're bloody in your face. You can literally